Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing good. So this is the fourth lecture of the Coulomb's law, and today I'm going to discuss about the vector form of the Coulomb's law. Well, in a lot of books it's given in the very beginning. I'm doing it quite late. That's okay. That shouldn't be a problem to you guys. Well, the point is, why do we need Coulomb's law? Because already we have done so much of numerical, so many numericals, still we have not faced any sort of problem. Then why do we need this, right? Okay. So far we have done questions on when the object was, the charge was in the x direction or in the y direction, and we were easy to do that, and we quickly we have done that quite easily. Now let's say if I put the object in the charge in the 3 dimension, or probably in the 2 dimension, when we have x and y both coming up, then what to do in those kind of cases, right? Now the fact is, the Coulomb law gives you, in the vector form, gives you the magnitude as well as direction. So this is not a very difficult thing, but you guys need to have a clear concept of that. Okay, so let's start. So let's say, for instance, I have a charge over here, let's say q1 over here, and let's say q2 over here. I just want to know the force on probably q1 because of q2, or on q2 because of q1. Of course that should be along the line joining them. Okay, so the force on q2 because of q1 will definitely be in this direction. So this is the force on 2 due to 1. That's the way we write it. In the first video I have spoken a little bit about the vector form, and the force on 1 due to 2 should be in this direction. That's how we represent on 2 because of 1. Well, we know that the magnitude of this force, let's suppose its distance is r. The magnitude of the force, F magnitude, should be how much? K q1 q2 over r square. Now if I just want to know the direction of this force, well, I can say, okay, if of 2 1 is in probably east or west or whatever, let's suppose I don't have that sort of information with us, then what to do? Then what exactly I need to know is this vector. If I could actually find this vector, I would be able to answer all my questions. Agree or not? Okay, before I get into this one, I just want to ask a very simple question to all of you. I just want you guys to write a vector A of, let's say, magnitude 5 along the direction of, along another vector, let's say capital A, with probably magnitude 3i plus 4j. I want you guys to write a vector of magnitude 5 in the direction of this vector. Okay, it's a mathematical question. I'm sure you guys know the vector form. So what exactly we do? We just do this thing. We take the magnitude 5 and we multiply with an unit vector in this direction. So the unit vector in this direction should be how much? 3i plus 4j over the magnitude of this, which is going to be how much? 5. Okay, so let's do one thing. I want to write a vector of 15 along this. Okay, so this should be how much? 3. I'll be having 3i cap plus 12j cap. Simple as that. So that's a way to write a vector along the another vector of a defined magnitude. Very simple. Now what I'm going to do over here, I know the magnitude of this vector, like this force f of 2 1, but I just want to write it along this vector, isn't it? Because the force will be acting along this line joining q1 and q2. So the idea is very simple. In the Coulomb's vector form, what we do, we get the magnitude of the force along the direction joining those two charges, right? It means if I want to know what's going to be the vector along this of this magnitude, what exactly I'm going to do? I would actually multiply this with this unit vector along this line joining q1 and q2. Okay, so that should give me F will be k times of q1 q2 over r square into r vector over magnitude of r vector, right? So if I'm writing in the vector form, let me put it here also in the vector form. Okay, so what I'm going to do, this is nothing but the magnitude, so I'll be having k q1 q2 by r magnitude whole cube into r vector, and that's the vector form of the Coulomb's law. I hope it's clear to everyone, right? So what exactly I'm getting in this Coulomb's law in the vector form? I'm getting the magnitude as well as the direction. And this is extensively used when we have questions, in which charges are in 3 dimension or probably in the 2 dimension, with certain coordinates, not at the origin or not on the x or y axis. Then the vector form works really good in that. I'm going to do a couple of numericals on that. As of now, I hope you have understood this, right? Now, second thing, if you're dealing with the vector forms of the Coulomb law, you have to deal with the charges along with the sign. If it is a positive, it should be taken as positive. If it is negative, I should put a negative sign. Okay, so you can write down, this is with the charge with sign of charge. Sign of charge, that's very essential because that will decide the direction, right? Now from here only we get to know that f of 1 2 and f of 2 1 are both opposite of each other, right? So that's how we get to know that f of 2 1 is equals to negative of f of 1 2. So already we've discussed it. Anyways, f of 2 1 is nothing but negative of f of 1 2 because they act along the line joining the charges. So they're in the same straight line but with the opposite direction. So represent negative for that with the opposite direction. I hope it's clear to everyone. Okay. Now let's if you have any doubt in this thing, I'm going to do one numerical that's going to be clear to all of you. So I'm going to just quickly repeat this. If I want to know the force in the terms of the vector forms of the Coulomb law, I'm going to find the magnitude of the force and would just multiply with the unit vector along that. Okay, before I go and solve some question, guys, I just want to tell you that this position of q1 and the position vector of q2 might be given. So don't get scared over there. Let's say for example, the position vector of q1 is is given as, let's say, r1, and the position vector of, let's say, q2 is given as r2. I want to know this. Now the direction comes over here. Okay, now one more thing I want to add over here. The head of this vector r should be pointing towards the charge on which we need to find the force. You can just write down the note of it, the arrow, the head of any vector, the head of the vector, this distance vector over here should be pointing towards the charge on which we are supposed to find the force. Fair enough? Keep that in mind. Okay, now if this is the form given, if this form is given in the book, don't be scared, just let me get some place over here clear with you. So if this is given, we can still follow the basic norms, will not be deviating from that basic fundamental thing. I just want to know the f of 2 1, that is force on 2 because of 1. Okay, here we're going to have k, q1, q2. Now what would be the unit vector? The distance is how much? R. Over here r is nothing but, if I look at this triangle rule of vector addition, vector r could be given as r1 plus r. I'm writing it here, vector r1 plus r should be vector r2. So this r vector should be how much? r2 minus r1 vector. Simple सी बात है. Okay, so here we have f of 2 1. Okay, I'm already written here. That should be equals to r2 minus r1 cube, right? And this should be how much? Simple as that. I'm going to put this vector, r vector over here. Okay, I can just say r2 minus r1. So this is used when we have the position vectors of the charges are given individually, okay, rather giving this vector r. I hope this is clear to all of you. Let us just note it down and then we're going to do one numerical based on this. It's very simple. You just remember this triangle rule of vector addition, put the points. So I'm sure with one example things will get very much clear to you, all of you. Okay, let's have this figure on the board itself. Let me give you an example on this thing. Okay, the question is, find force on, let's say, a 10 coulomb charge placed at probably a point A, which position vector is, let's say, I want to know this. Okay, let's say 6, 9. Okay, or maybe let's say 3, 9. Due to another charge of let's say another charge, keep it minus 3 coulomb. I'm including both positive and negative charges placed at let's say point B 4, okay, and okay, let's say 5, okay, let me increase this thing, let's say 4, okay, placed at 1,5. Fair enough. So now you can see I have given the position vector of charge q1. Let's assume that is my charge q1 and this is my charge q2. So it's given in the vector form. We have so the moment we get into this kind of question, when we have the coordinates given up over there, it's the right time to use the vector form of the Coulomb's law. Okay, let's see how we can solve it. Simple as that. First of all, okay, for this particular question we can just do this way. Let us find this vector r. Vector r should be how, or else directly you can just go ahead, F equals K q1 q2, so 10 coulomb, and q2 should be written with the minus including the charge, so minus 3 coulomb, okay, over r2 minus r1, okay, so it should be heading towards that, okay, r2 minus r1 due to this one. So if I'm talking about this force on this charge, because of this charge, so the vector should be pointing towards that, right, the position vector. So we know that this should be r2 minus r1, where r2 is the position vector of the charge on which we have to find the force, right. Well, the position vector of that is how much? 9 minus 5, 4 j cap, 4 minus 1, 3 j cap, 3 I cap, sorry, whole cube. Now we'll be having what? Same 3i plus its magnitude, of course, 3i plus 4j cap. Simple as that. R2 minus R1, this is my R2, this is my R1. So this should be how much? Negative 30, and this is going to be how much? 125. The magnitude of this is how much? 3, 9, 16 into 3i plus 4j. Rest is the calculations. Of course, the k should be there, okay. I hope this is clear to all of you. So what we do, we just take the value of the, in the vector form. We get the position vector of individual charges. We get the vector of those distance vector of those two charges, and then we put it there, okay. Fair enough. Let's go and do the next question. Alright then, let us see a question in which we have a square pyramid of, let's say, side length root 2 times of a, and let's say we have placed charges q, and q, and of course here also on all the 5 vertices of this pyramid. Now if they ask me to find the value of force on, let's say, this charge, because of these 4 charges, then the vector rule gonna be the best technique over here to find it out, okay. So in order to do this, I would like to redraw this in the best form. So let's say, guys, let me have this my axes, x and y axis, and of course z in this direction. If I go with the top view of this pyramid, I would find that, can I just say, let's say put these charges like this on the axis, and if I draw this, and here is the 5th charge over here, this charge q over here. So let me write down q1, charge, this is vertex 1, vertex 2, 3, 4, and let's say 5. So I'm trying to find the force on the charge at the 5th vertex because of these 4 vertex charges, okay. So the 5th will come out here in the positive z direction, let's say, okay. That's the top view. Let's say we have charges q, and of course this q, okay. If it is root 2 times of a, I'm sure you guys will agree this is going to be a. So this point going to be 0 comma a, this point going to be a comma 0, okay. This is going to be 0 comma negative a, and this is going to be negative a comma 0, and let's say 5th is here, okay. So I'm writing the charge 5th over here, that should be 0 comma 0 comma a, right. That should be the position of the 5th charge, right. with the duster. Okay, so duster is here. Okay, 1 second, guy. Here's the duster. Okay, sorry about that. Fair enough. So let me just erase this to have a clear space over here. Okay. Now, if I use the vector form, I think this is going to be easy for all of us to find. So let us say the force on 5 due to 1. The force on 5, fifth charge due to, let's say this is my position vector 1, 2, 3 are the position. I'm just writing the vertices number just for the easy calculations. So force on 5 due to 1, that should be k q square over, before that distance would be how much? Root 2 times of a, isn't it? Yeah, that should be root 2 times of a whole cube, root 2 times of a whole cube. Let me write the position vector, the unit vector in that direction. So that should be on 5, because I told in the beginning that when you're talking about the distance vector, that should be the heads should be pointing towards the charge at which we have to find the force. So that's pointing towards 5, 5 by 8. So that's going to be 0 minus 0. That's going to be negative a. 0 minus a, negative ai. So minus ai cap. Now 0, 0 gone, plus a k cap. Right? Likewise, force on 5 due to 2, that should be again kq square over root 2 times of a whole cube. On this, because of this, 0 minus 0 gone, 0 minus, I'll be having negative aj cap plus a k cap. Likewise, force on 5 due to 3, that should be of course kq square over root 2 times of whole cube. Now on this, because of this, so 0 minus of minus a, so a I cap plus 0 minus 0 a minus 0, I'll be having a j cap, and the force on 5 due to charge at fourth vertex, that should be of course kq square over root 2 times of a whole cube. Now 0 minus 0 is gone, 0 minus of minus a, that's going to be a j cap plus a k cap. So by the superposition rule of vector addition, the force net force on the 5 should be the vector sum of all these forces, right? Now if you guys just pay a bit of attention over here, you can see that this I cap would be cancelled by this, this j cap would be cancelled by this. What I'm going to have is a cap, k cap, k cap, k cap. I think this should be f5 3. Okay, that should be k cap. So this would be nullified, this should be nullified. I'll be having, so f net on 5 should be how much? K q square over 2 root 2 a cube 4 a k cap, right? So this should be nothing but your a will have a square, in denominator will be having k q square over a square, this should be root 2 kq square k cap. So with the help of vector forms of the Coulomb's law, we can get the magnitude as well as direction. So it means that the force on this charge would be in z direction, right? Simple as that. So that is the advantage of your Coulomb's law in the vector form. We can find the magnitude as well as the direction. Fair enough. Now one more thing I want to add up in today's small video, that what happens when we bring up the charges close to each other and then separate, and then let's see the effect of that. I'm going to do 1 or 2 easy questions in that. That's all. What happens if we bring the charge? So the idea is very simple. If we bring the charge together of the same size and all, if we, let's suppose I bring the two spheres together of the same size, the charge will get distributed equally. Yeah, very simple. Let's suppose if I have one bucket of water which is completely filled and other bucket of water which is, let's say, half filled, if I bring them in contact with, let's say, through some connective pipe and all, the water will get to the equal level, right? So until that, the water will keep on flowing among these two buckets. So that is a principle which works out here as well. So let's have a question over on that case. I'm sure this is clear to all of you guys, so you can practice the vector form of the Coulomb's law and don't get scared. Okay, let's have a quick question over here. This was asked in some competitive exams. I don't remember exactly which exam was that, probably JEE or maybe that EEE and all. Okay, let's say I have a body A which has, let's say, 10 coulomb of charge, and another body, let's say B, which has, okay, let me just okay, I drew it a bit bigger. Let's keep it small only, not a big deal. I have two spherical charges, A which has let's say 10 coulomb of charge, and B which has, let's say, negative 20 coulomb of charge. What happened? There would be a force of attraction between these two bodies, right? So let's say that is the force of attraction between these two bodies, let's say F1. Now what happened? These two spheres were brought in contact with each other. Okay, these two spheres, let's say we have charge sphere A and sphere B, they were brought close to each other, in contact with each other in fact, and then they separated. So the question is, the two bodies, two spherical body of equal size, I would mention this word, equal size, having a charge of 10 coulomb and negative 20 coulomb, were brought in contact and then separated, right, to the same distance. Find the ratio of the forces before the contact and after contact. Right, I'm not writing the question, you guys can understand this. So if the two spherical charge, body of same size and the same material, of course, having a charge of 10 coulomb and negative 20 coulomb, were brought in contact and then separated back to the same distance, find the ratio of the forces between these two bodies before and after. So let's say before they brought in contact, the force was F1. Okay, that should be how much? Let's suppose the distance between them is, let's say, R. Then the F1 should be K 10 20. I'm only talking on the magnitude this time. Distance, let's say, R square. So I'll be having 200 K over R square. Now when they brought in contact with each other, what's going to happen? The charge will be distributed. So the net charge will be equally distributed among these two. So what is the net charge? This had 10 coulomb and this is negative 20 coulomb. So the net charge Q net would be how much? 10 plus minus 20, that would be a negative 10 coulomb, and it will be distributed equally on these two bodies, right? So once they are separated to the same distance, let's say R, the charge on this would be negative 10 coulomb divided among these two. So I'll be having a negative 5 coulomb here and negative 5 coulomb over here. I hope you guys have understood this, right? So the basic thing when happens when we separate and get it together, right? Now, so the force will be how much? Force will be K 5 coulomb into 5 over distance is R square. Let's say this is force 2 now. So force 2 should be 25 K over R square. So my question was, what is the ratio of the forces between them? So that is F1 over F2 should be 200 K over 25 K. That should be 8:1. So ratio is 8:1. So you could have questions like this, don't worry. You just keep in mind that when the bodies of same, probably dimensions are brought in close to each other, the charges gets distributed equally, and then probably you can just do it. Okay, so with this lecture I'm actually ending up Coulomb's law. Now the next video is going to be on the electrostatic field, that is electric field. So I'll be discussing the electric field in the next video, and next 2-3 videos surely will be on the electric field. That's a really important component of this electrostatic chapter, and then we're going to move on to electrostatic potential and the potential energy, of course, and then we're going to move to the next chapter, right? So guys, with this, if you just try to solve all the questions of electrostatic force based on the Coulomb's law and the Coulomb's vector law, I'm sure you'll be able to do that. If you get some doubts, do let me know in the comment box. I would try and help you over there. All right, thanks for watching and keep studying. See you guys soon. Bye.